Okay, good afternoon. Are you there? Are you really attending this class?
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Okay. So, since most of you are hiding your self-view, I cannot see you, right? So I seriously suspect some of our students may take this class while lying on bed. So nobody told me what is your status while taking this class, but I can imagine some of you may be very, very laid back. Okay, just say something funny. So, okay, so today's class, we are going to do the section 4C, the savings plans and investments. So I know most of our class is very young. It's still too early to talking about retirement, that kind of stuff. But time flies. So we're not that far from retirement. So I'll just continue my funny speech. So this year I'm 30. Okay. So as you can imagine, a century is a very long period, right? A century time. But as I think, when I reach the age of 33, how long is a century? Just 3 times my current life periods, right? Just 3 times. And I did one period already. So just another 33 years, another 32 years. Then I'm almost a century years old. So you'll be surprised when you reach 30, how time flies. Too much joking. Okay, any question before we start our class today? Okay, so let's go to the class. So this, to facilitate your understanding of class today, I'm going to play a short YouTube video first. Okay, I'll play a short YouTube video. So what? Sharing my screen. Okay, everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
So this is a 1 minute and 49 seconds video. So it's pretty short. It's talking about how the savings account interest work. Okay. So let me know if you have any kind of issue listening or watching this video. Okay, get started.
So what is interest? Put simply, it's the cost of borrowing something, in this case, money. So depending on who's doing the lending and who's doing the borrowing, you may be paying interest or earning interest. When you deposit your cash into a bank, they pay you interest for borrowing your money. All banks tell you the interest rate you'll earn as an annual percentage yield, or APY. This rate matters, even for products like savings accounts, because rates can vary significantly across banks. Some savings account interest rates are as low as 0.01%, while others are as high as 1%. Say you had a $5,000 balance in your account. The difference between 0.01% and 1% is 50 cents in interest versus $50.23 over the course of a year. But how do banks calculate this interest? Let's assume you keep that same $5,000 in your savings account, and the bank pays 1% APY. At the end of the first month, you would earn $4.17 in interest, which is then added to the balance of your savings account. You continue to earn interest on your balance. And as your balance grows each month, so does your monthly interest. This is called compounding interest. At the end of the year, if you add up all your monthly interest payments, you will have earned $50.23. To learn about how much you could earn in interest with a savings account, click here. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Oops.
9 months with a top tech school's name on your
Another
CV.
unwanted video played. Okay, so I hope everybody saw that video. So does anyone has any question about that video before we get into the lecture notes? Okay, so let's start it on the lecture notes. So for today's lecture notes, we are only going to have 4 questions. So it's going to be relatively short. Again, we are talking about savings plan and investments. For savings plan, we are doing something very different from our previous class. So the previous class, you have a fixed amount of money at the beginning, then you do nothing during the period which you put your money in a bank account. So let's say if you put $5,000 into the account, oops. If you put $5,000 into the account, you do not add or reduce any money from this $5,000. You just letting the money grow by itself. This is what we did in the previous class. However, for today's class, we're doing another situation where you have regular payments. So how do we understand the regular payments? So again, we check on each item. So PMT, regular payment amount, it means how much money you deposit into the account regularly. Okay, just how much money you deposit into the account regularly. For example, let's say you make $500 a month and you deposit all the $500 into the bank account every month. So every month, you deposit $500, okay? So it's not $500 your total amount. Is you keep adding this money into your account. So if you deposit money in such a way, there is an issue. Let's say you have to keep doing it for 3 years. 3 years ago, you deposited $500. It creates more interest than the $500 you deposit, let's say 6 months ago, right? Because it stays in the bank for a longer time. The longer time it stays in the bank, the more money to produce. So although each time you deposit $500, but the $500 have a different produce each time. So how do we solve such a problem? Again, we use this formula. Okay, so this formula can tell us if you keep doing this, how much money would you have in the account eventually? So again, A is the same idea with before. It's an accumulated savings plan. So which is the same with the previous class. P is different. P is a regular payment. So as I said, it's for example, every month you deposit $500. APR is still the annual percentage rate. This is still same. But notice that AIN is different. AIN is still same. AIN is still number of payment periods per year. So let's say if you do it every month, AIN is 12. Okay, so we use AIN to divide this APR to get the monthly interest rate. Okay. In this case, we get the monthly interest rate. So this interest rate will be based on months. Again, if you change everything into months, you also need to record the time in terms of months. So Y is the number of years. N is how many times you do it per year. So if you do it 12 times per year, NY just how many times you do it, or how many months have you been keep doing it, right? Okay, so some students may wonder how this formula is come from. I tell you right now, we do not have enough mathematics to know how the formula is derived. It uses a geometric series, which is beyond our current knowledge. Okay, so it is derived from geometric series. I just tell you this concept. I do not elaborate on it. So all we need to do is learn how to use this formula to solve the problem precisely. Okay, so does anyone has any question about my explanation of this formula and what is the scenario we use it? Feel free to ask any question. Okay, so let's work on our first example. Suppose you invest $100 in a bank account with 3.25% interest rate. How much money would you have after 12 years? Okay, so this is a very long time. So most people can imagine this is a very long time. So before we do it, since we have plenty of time in today's class, let's first do a guess. Guess how much money we would have. Okay, just guess. And we'll do the calculation later to figure out who has the best, most accurate guess. Just guess. Everybody type in the chat session, how much money would you guess? Okay, I like the interactive process. Okay, great. So has anybody didn't guess? Okay, So please look at it in the chart. What are the responses for our class? Let's say who has a minimum guess. I see David. David have a minimum guess, which is only $5,000. Who has a maximum guess? Oh, Daniel even have a smaller guess, 2,500. Okay, so I think Frank have the largest guess, highest guess, 100,000. So 100,000 is 20 times of $5,000, which is David's guess, right? So let's do a calculation to see what would be a good amount of money in the bank account. Okay, so let's first figure out what each value is in here. First, $100 is a regular payment, right? So PMT is 100. It's just copying information, extract the information from the question. Annual percent rate. APR is 3.25%. Okay, so next is N, number of payments periods per year. So we're doing it monthly, right? Every month. So each year you have 12 months. So N is 12. Number of years after 12 years, not in 12 years, okay? So we are using Y equal to 12. Okay, so we got all the information we need to calculate A. So let's just plug into the formula and we can plug into the calculator. PMT 100, copy it here, times 1 plus 3.25. N is 12. Number in Y, which is 12, 12. N is 12, 12, 12. 12 times 12 minus 1, copy it. Divided by APR divided by N. APR is 3%. So you have 3.5% divided by 12. Okay. So that's a very big number. Notice that I use dot to represent multiplication here. So this is 12 times 12. Okay. So I need some diligent person to do me a favor to plug into calculator. Okay, do me a favor and feel free to speak out your answer or type in the chat session. Okay, thank you, Queen. So the total amount of money you have is $17,582.86. So let's go back into the chart session to see who has the most accurate response. I see Rochelle. Rochelle is very close. Rochelle said 15,000. Is anyone which is even closer than Rochelle? Okay, so I announced Rochelle is the winner of this competition. She has the most accurate guess. Congratulations, Rochelle. So does anyone has any question about this one? Okay, so the key idea is find each part in the question, okay? So once you find the information for each part, you just put everything together into the formula and do your calculation carefully. Then you're done. Okay. So let's look at the second example. Notice that the second example is planning ahead with regular deposits. So what does that mean? Previously, you know how much money you deposit in the bank account. You want to figure out how much money you have eventually. However, for the next part, you set a goal, how much money you have in the future. And you want to calculate backwards to figure out how much money you need to put in the bank account right now and for every month of for every season. Okay, so this is going backwards. You know how much money you want in the future. So you should plan for how much money you should deposit right now, periodically. I mean monthly or seasonal. Okay, so I think I can give you, let's say 2 minutes to read this formula. Basically, you have all the knowledge already. Still same knowledge from the previous example. Everything is still same. Then I can give you another 2 minutes to work out example 2. Okay, I'll give you a pause. So now I think we can come back. As I said, this is very similar with the previous formula. Do you guys see what is the relationship between this formula and this previous formula? Do we have any brave person in our class to speak out about the relationship between this formula and this formula? Feel free to speak out your opinion. Okay, so if nobody speak out, I will ask some particular person to answer my question, okay? Think about, yes, Rocher.
It's the opposite.
Oh, very good. You get the idea. So look at this formula. And look at this formula. On this formula, payment is on the right side. On this formula, payment is on the left side. So how do we come from here to here? We are just dividing every side with this part, okay? Dividing every side with this part. This is a fraction. Divide by this fraction is just multiplies opposite. You can see? Originally, this was in the bottom of the above fraction. It was here in the bottom, but now it goes to the upper part. Then originally, this is the upper part. Now it becomes the bottom. Okay, so once you divide both sides with this part, this side, we only have the payment left. This side have a multiplied with the opposite of this fraction. So that in this way, we are single out what is the payment. Okay, thank you, Rishi. Okay, does anybody have any question about the relationship between this formula and the previous formula? Okay, so other than that, everything is exactly the same. So we need to calculate how much payment. But we know A is here. We want so much money eventually. Okay. And the APR is 3.5. It's written here. Invest in each week. Okay, so here's the tricky thing. Each week, but the APR is for year. So we need to convert a year into week. So does anyone know how many weeks does a year have?
52.
Thank you. Okay, so a year approximately have 52. So deposit 52 times a week. Again, 20 years. So as we have agreed last class, in 20 years means 19 years later, right? I think most of you agree with 19 years later. So the time is 19. Okay, so we get all the information we need to calculate this formula. The leftover job is plug into the formula. Oh, sorry, 52, not 12. In y, 52 times 19 minus 1. Okay, so we put all the information in the formula. Okay, correct me, right? Again, we need somebody, some diligent guy, some helpful guy to do the calculation for me. Okay, so please plug into your calculator to see if anything, to see the results. Okay, great, Elizabeth, thank you very much. So thank you. I really like people like you who like to help me. So each week you only need to deposit $7.13. Okay. That's it for this question. Okay, does anyone has any question about this one? Okay, no question? So we can continue to the next page. So the next page is calculating the total annual return. Basically, you're calculating how much money you make by depositing the money. And again, I will give you 2 minutes to read the definition and 2 minutes to look at example 3. But before you start reading definition and example 3, I want to show you a second YouTube video, okay? So here comes the second YouTube video. Oops, not this browser. Okay, so this is the second video. It's a TED video. By the way, do you guys know TED? So TED represents for tech, education, and design. It's a collection of great videos, short videos, talking about those brilliant ideas. Sometimes they also make introductory short videos about talking about basic concepts. So the video I'm going to show you is talking about how the stock market works. And perhaps you have already seen the keywords on our lecture notes. You see example 3 and example 4 are already talking about stocks already. So that's why I feel there is a need for us to see how the stock market works. This video is 4 minutes, 29 seconds long. So it's pretty short. Okay, everybody ready? So let's start. Ready.
In the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company employed hundreds of ships to trade gold, porcelain, spices, and silks around the globe. But running this massive operation wasn't cheap. In order to fund their expensive voyages, the company turned to private citizens, individuals who could invest money to support the trip in exchange for a share of the ship's profits. This practice allowed the company to afford even grander voyages, increasing profits for both themselves and their savvy investors. Selling these shares in coffee houses and shipping ports across the continent, the Dutch East India Company unknowingly invented the world's first stock market. Since then, companies have been collecting funds from willing investors to support all kinds of businesses. And today, the stock market has schools, careers, and even whole television channels dedicated to understanding it. But the modern stock market is significantly more complicated than its original incarnation. So how do companies and investors use the market today? Let's imagine a new coffee company that decides to launch on the market. First, the company will advertise itself to big investors. If they think the company is a good idea, they get the first crack at investing and then sponsor the company's initial public offering, or IPO. This launches the company onto the official public market, where any company or individual who believes the business could be profitable might buy a stock. Buying stocks makes those investors partial owners in the business. Their investment helps the company to grow, and as it becomes more successful, more buyers may see potential and start buying stocks. As demand for those stocks increases, so does their price, increasing the cost for prospective buyers and raising the value of the company's stocks people already own. For the company, this increased interest helps fund new initiatives and also boosts its overall market value by showing how many people are willing to invest in their idea. However, if for some reason a company starts to seem less profitable, the reverse can also happen. If investors think their stock value is going to decline, they'll sell their stocks with the hopes of making a profit before the company loses more value. As stocks are sold and demand for the stock goes down, the stock price falls, and with it, the company's market value. This can leave investors with big losses, unless the company starts to look profitable again. This seesaw of supply and demand is influenced by many factors. Companies are under the unavoidable influence of market forces, such as the fluctuating price of materials, changes in production technology, and the shifting costs of labor. Investors may be worried about changes in leadership, bad publicity, or larger factors like new laws and trade policies. And of course, plenty of investors are simply ready to sell valuable stocks and pursue personal interests. All these variables cause day-to-day noise in the market, which can make companies appear more or less successful. And in the stock market, appearing to lose value often leads to losing investors, and in turn, losing actual value. Human confidence in the market has the power to trigger everything from economic booms to financial crises. And this difficult to track variable is why most professionals promote reliable long-term investing over trying to make quick cash. However, experts are constantly building tools in efforts to increase their chances of success in this highly unpredictable system. But the stock market is not just for the rich and powerful. With the dawn of the internet, everyday investors can buy stocks in many of the exact same ways a large investor would. And as more people educate themselves about this complex system, they too can trade stocks, support the businesses they believe in, and pursue their financial goals. The first step is getting invested. Interested in pursuing your own financial goals? Download a free audio version of The Richest Man in
Okay, so we watched the video already. Does anyone has any question before I give you a few minutes to read the definitions and examples? Okay, so now you should have 4 minutes to read the total and annual return and example 3. Feel free to ask me any question. Hello, Queen. Hello, Queen.
Hello.
Yes, you asked me, can you show me the two formulas? Are those two formulas you want or the previous page?
Yeah, that's right. I looked it up on the PDF, but thank
Okay,
you.
great, thank you. Okay, so so right now I just made a poll to our class and I'll launch this poll. Please answer this poll. Okay, so I just want to know what is your attitude into the stock market? Okay, so please answer it if you have not done so. I still see 4 more people. Please do the poll if you have not done so. Okay, great. I think most people have done it. Can you guys see the result on your side? From your computer?
No, I don't think we can.
Okay,
No,
let me end the poll. So now can you share, can you see the results?
yes.
Yep.
Okay, great. So does the result surprise you? I think it fits my imagination very well. But I'm just curious, nobody said that he or she has lost a lot of money into it already. Yeah. But this fits into my previous expectation very well. Most people in our class are very young. Okay. Okay, thank you, Frank, for sharing. So, okay, so I should edit the last response as, do you or your friends have lost a lot of money into it already? Okay, so by the way, I just introduced those interactive polls during the class so that this class will be more interactive and less boring. Instead of me talking all the time, I also want to hear from you. What do you think and how you experience? Okay. Okay, that's great. So let's look at example 3 and example 4. So consider an investment that grows from the original P to a later balance. The total return percentage is calculated by this formula. So let's look at this formula. So this is the money in the future. This is money you put in initially. So the difference is how much your investment produce, right? So let's say if you put like $10,000 into it, $10,000 become 15,000, you're making $5,000. The difference is $5,000. P is the principal, is the original money you put. Okay, so compared with the original money, how much money you make times 100%. It means we convert everything in terms of percentage. Let me add this. So adding 100%, times 100% times 1 does not change anything. But it means we convert into percentage. Okay. So this is a total return. However, You also want to know how much you are making annually. So the annual return is the annual percentage yield that could give us the same overall growth over Y years. So look at the formula we have. So the annual return, this amount equals to A divided by P. So what does that mean? So let's say A is $20,000, P is $10,000. This is the initial investment. A divided P is just how much money your money grows into. Here, it means 2 times growing your original money 2 times, right? So what does this part mean? 1/n. It means if you finish such a growth from 10,000 to 2,000, let's say if you finish it in 3 years. So what is 1/y? 1/y is 1/3. So a number to the power of 1/3 is just taking the third root. Okay. So let me put everything into the more detailed number. So you see, you are just taking the third root of 2. In 3 years, you grew into 2, but you are taking the third root to see how much money you grow each year. I mean, how much money you grow in terms of the ratio. Okay, you grow each year. Then minus 1. 1 just represents your original money. Since you are calculating a ratio, right? So you just want to see how much extra money you grow. Compare this 1. 1 is your original. Okay. So I know this is a little bit hard to understand. Does anyone has any question?
So did you use this square root because it was 3, or I'm confused as far as why.
Okay. Okay, so let's say we finish such a growth from 10,000 into 20,000 in 3 years. Y is 3 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then we want to know how much money we grow each year on average annual return. So this growth is like 2 times growth, right? You agree? 2 times growth.
Yes.
So if we take the third root, we get the average growth ratio per year. Okay, Rochelle, did I answer your question?
No, I guess I'm asking, would you use the square root no matter what amount of years you were using, or is it just because it's 3?
This is not a square root sign. This is a third root. I write a 3 here, so this, which means it's third root. So this is equivalent with 2 to the 1/3 power.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Okay, thank you, Rochelle, for asking this question. So here, notice the notation. I write this notation. It does not mean square root. It means third root. Okay. So thank you, Rochelle, for asking. Does anyone has any other question? Okay. So let's do example 3 together. You invest in $500 in GameStop. GameStop, which never stops. This is just a joke from the internet. 2 years ago, you sold your stock for $1,250. What is the total and annual return in this investment? So total return, let's look at the formula. Your original money is 500. Oh, sorry. Your original money is 500. I should use P. So accumulated balance is A. This is P. This is A. Okay. So 2 years later, you have $1,250. So what is the total return? To plug in all the numbers, 1250 minus 500 over 500 times 100%, which is 750 over 50, over 500 times 100%, which equals to 150%. Okay, do you guys agree with my calculation? So here's the tricky part. What is the annual return? So again, we see this formula. We copy every information into it. $1,250 A, P is 500, 2 years. So 1 over Y is 1 over 2 minus 1. Okay. So look at what you have here. 1,250 over 500. So this is 2.5. Okay. So square root of 2.5 minus 1. Can anyone do me a favor? Plug this into a calculator. Feel free to type in the chat or speak out. Okay, thank you, Daniel. So we have 58% annual growth rate per year, right? Okay, thank you, Suchivala. Does anyone has any question about this example? Okay, I tell you, stock market is very risky. It looks like you're making money very easily. However, this is not always the case. I'll give you 4 minutes to work on example 4. You will see how you lose money, okay? So 4 minutes to work on example 4. Every calculation is pretty much still the same. But notice that we have some tricky thing here. So now the trick is, instead of telling you how much money you invest directly, I tell you how many shares you bought and how much money per share. Okay. So do your 4 minutes exercise. Feel free to ask me any question. Okay, so let's come back and work together. You purchase 20 shares, AMC, for $10 per share in 2005. And now you sell it at a reduced price, $7.50 per share. So what is the total and annual return? So what is a P in this case? What is the initial investment? 20 shares, each share $10. So 20 times 10, which give you $200. Okay. So now you are selling it for $7.50. So your A is 20 times $7.50. So which would give you $150, right? Okay, so we have P and A. So leftover job is plug into the calculator. So the total return is A minus P divided by P times 100%. But the issue is that A is smaller than P. So 150 minus 200 divided by 200 give you negative 50 over 200 times 100%. Okay, so which equals to negative 25%. Look, you're not always making money. Sometimes you can lose money. In this case, you're losing 25% per year. Oh, not per year, in total. So annual what is the annual return? Annual return equal to A over P, taking the 1 over Y root. What is Y? Y is a very long time, starting from 2005 to 2022. So which is 15 years. 1 over 15. Okay, let me copy 1 over Y here. Then we can plug in 150 over 200, 1 over 15 minus 1. Okay. Again, I need some smart people, diligent people, handsome people, beautiful people to help me do this calculation. So feel free to speak out or type in the chat session. Okay, so please plug in this into a calculator and tell me what's the answer. So please do this. Okay, thank you, Queen. So we have negative 1.9% return. So you see, you're not always making money. Sometimes you're losing money. Although you're very patient, you're waiting for 15 years. but you are still losing money. Okay. That's the end of the last example today. So do not go. I need to take attendance. Do not go. Okay, so I finished taking attendance. So feel free to go. If you have any question, please stay here. Okay.
Have a good night.
Okay,
Thank
good
you.
night. See you next Tuesday.
I have a question.
Yes.
For the post-exam wrapper,
Yeah.
it says on a separate sheet of paper, go through your examination, and for each question that you missed any points, do the following. It says redo the problem correctly. I can't access.
Sorry, what did you say?
Let's see.
You cannot what?
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so Hannah, thank you for waiting. I will put you in the waiting room. But I think after talking with Sujibala, I can be able to talk with you. Okay, Hannah, I put you in the waiting room. Okay, Sujibala, can you please share your screen or so that I can better understand what you're asking?
Sure. Found it finally. It says you disabled sharing screen.
Yeah, now you should be able. Just enable.
Okay, so when I click on this,
Yeah.
I can't like click on it and see my score.
Okay, I know the reason. Okay. So let me try to adapt a setting tonight. Okay, and I'll extend the due date of the post-exam wrapper. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to adapt this setting tonight and extend the deadline for the wrapper. And after I did all of that, I'll send you guys an email.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you for pointing out. Okay, Sajala, is anything else I can help you?
I think that's it.
Okay, great. Maybe see you next Tuesday.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Hannah. Hannah,
Hi.
yes, can I see you while talking with you?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so here's the issue. As I check the gradebook again, I realize you missed quite a few homeworks, right?
Yeah, so when I had emailed you previously, because I had that family emergency
Oh yeah,
at the very beginning of the semester, when I went back in to like do everything and get everything done, it would only let me start from like where we were. So those first 3 homework assignments like wouldn't like show
Okay.
or populate.
okay.
So recently I went back and checked and they're populating for me now. If I took them, could I get like partial on them?
Okay, cool. So thank you for pointing this out. I'll try to change the setting of the My Math Lab.
Yeah.
Yes, and also, would you please also check your Canvas? I think a few other homework, which is not
Yeah.
assigned by the My Math Lab, they're still visible in the Canvas.
Yeah. The only one that it shows me missing either than those like homeworks that I had during my emergency. The only one is the 2C activity. And I worked on that for like 4 hours and then I cried and I just,
Okay.
yeah.
No problem. I understand your difficulty. So that is a very difficult question.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
really confused. by
Okay,
it.
no problem. No problem. No worry about that one. Okay, so I will change the setting for the MyMathLab tonight. So
Thank
check
you.
again tomorrow. You should be able to do it tomorrow.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for talking with me. Is there anything else I can help you?
No, I appreciate you reaching back out so much because that was sort of, I think my original like question was like, how could I get back on track after I dealt with all of that? And I think that just like helped me clarify a little bit more like the steps I can actually implement to do that.
Okay,
So thank you.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for talking with me. And I hope we can talk again. Okay, meet again in class on Tuesday.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.